Hello, my name is Keith Bailey, here to do NFL picks and predictions for Week 2. First of all, what a week it was in Week 1. I mean, 13 of all, 13 of the 16 games that were played were decided by 9 points or less. I don't know if that's an NFL record or some kind. Um, I don't know if anyone else heard that, but my ESPN app went off. I don't know what that's for, but I'll check it later. But without further ado, let's get to it. First game, we got the Jets at the Bills. Thursday night. I'm picking the New York Jets only because they can't lose every single game to the Bills. Um, I don't know what it is. I don't know how the Bills like to beat them, but the Bills put up only 7 points against the defense like the Ravens, and I think the Jets have a much better defense than Baltimore does. So I don't know how the Bills are gonna score points in this game. I think the Jets take this game 24-17 in the end. Um, I don't think the Jets get off to an 0-2 start, but hey, we'll see. Next up, we got the 49ers at the Panthers. This game got a little more interesting just based on how San Francisco walloped onto the Rams um, this past Monday night. That was an absurd game. I picked the Niners to win, but I didn't see a game like that coming. Um, that being said, they're in Carolina for the Panthers home opener. Um, as solid as the 49ers looked on Monday night, I don't think they're going to go into Carolina and beat the Panthers and send the Panthers to 0-2 in their home opener. Um, that's not my lock of the week, but it's pretty close to it. I think the Panthers put the 49ers in their place a little bit by a score of 27-13, but I don't see the Panthers going 0-2. Next up, we got the Ravens at the Browns. Picking the Ravens in this one, and this is my lock of the week. RG3 is hurt. His stint with the Browns lasted all of one day. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, maybe Cleveland shouldn't have passed on Carson Wentz, but you know what? Maybe Cleveland made a Cleveland type mistake, but we won't know. He only has a 1 game sample size. He's got his whole career ahead of him. But I'm picking the Ravens to beat the Browns by a score of 24-10. Cleveland won't score points. They'll have a lot of trouble. The Ravens held the Bills to 7 points, and the Bills have a better offense than the Browns do. Tyrod Taylor's a much better quarterback than who the Browns got now at the quarterback. I think his name is Cody Kessler, someone like that. But I just can't see the Browns beating the Ravens. So I think Baltimore gets the win. Next game, and this game is going to drive me crazy to the brink of dawn. It's the Titans at the Lions. And first of all, my shout out of the week goes to Geo Knows. Go follow him. His Vikings ended up beating my Titans, but I think it's fair and I think it's safe to say that, and I think this is fact too, if Tennessee doesn't turn the ball over twice on back-to-back drives, which is rare for Mariota, and they both lead to touchdowns being picked up and scored, which is even rarer in the NFL, period. If those 2 plays don't happen, Tennessee wins the game. I know the Vikings had scored 6 straight points in the third, but Tennessee was driving on Minnesota when Mariota threw that pick 6. I mean, it was going to be 13-6 or 17-6 at that point, and that changes the entire game plan. So a lot of people are looking down upon that as like, okay, that's Tennessee. You know what? That was 2 plays out of 65 or so, however many plays that they had on offense. And the Lions don't have the defense the Vikings do, and the Titans were able to move the ball effectively when they weren't turning the ball over. The Lions' defense is not as good as the Vikings. Detroit's offense will be better, which is why I think the Lions are going to, they're going to put up points on Tennessee. But my heart is telling me with all my with all my strength that Tennessee is going to win this game. Reason being is Tennessee's always been 1-1. The last 0-2 start they had was in, I think, 2012, and the last time before that was like 2004. So this isn't a team that doesn't. This isn't a team that starts 0-2, and I don't see the Lions going to 2-0. Tennessee's defense is a lot, and I know I'm going off on a tangent in this game, but bear with me. This is my team we're talking about here, and then I'll get back on track. But I don't see. I don't. Where was I going with that? I just don't understand or see how people can take Detroit in this game so easily when their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed against the Colts, especially in the second half. And Tennessee has something the Colts don't have, and that is a running game. So, I mean, who knows? But I made a vow to myself that I would not pick the Tennessee Titans until they win a game. So I'm holding true to that. I'm picking Detroit. 28-24. Tennessee in another close game because they like to be close in games and then they like to just give them away like presents. So I'm picking the Lions. That's all I have to say about that. Heart's telling me don't. Head's telling me I just can't do it. So Detroit. 28-24. Next game, Kansas City at Houston. I don't. The Texans are. I know their quarterback situation is a lot more stable than it was last year. I'll give them credit there. But I just don't think you can count out Kansas City. I mean, they played the Texans and look at what they did to them in the playoffs. I mean, 30-0, that kind of score in the playoffs, that's something else. And Kansas City, I believe, they're on the road. Barely. I mean, it's like a 2-hour trip from Kansas City to Houston, give or take. I think Kansas City gets the win. I think Houston will keep the game a lot closer this time around. 20-14, Kansas City, I believe, will win this game. Houston, I think, is the favorite. And for the life of me, I know they got Lamar Miller, but for the life of me, I just can't figure out why. I mean, what else does Kansas City need to do? I mean, they're on an 11-game winning streak in the regular season, and now they're playing a team that they demolished in the playoffs, and they're underdogs. Last I checked, Houston's performance against Chicago wasn't awe-inspiring. It wasn't anything special. I thought Houston would beat the Bears a lot more than they actually did. So, I mean, that's that. I think Kansas City wins this game 20-14, and we'll see. Next up, we got Dolphins at Patriots. I am not going to pick the Dolphins. Maybe you thought I was just for that gesture, but I think this game will be close. Miami is 3-2 against the Patriots in their last 5 games. There's your Keith stat of the day. But I think New England evens that out. But this game will be close, and I think it'll be low scoring. I think this will be the type of game that goes. Let's go. Patriots 17, Dolphins 13. Miami played really good defense against Seattle. Whether that was Miami being good or Seattle underperforming, we don't know yet. We have a 1-week sample size to work with. So and this is the way it is in the NFL. 16 of the team's performances in week 1, or 16-20, we'll say, are not reminiscent of how their season's going to go. I mean, the Colts couldn't play defense, but that doesn't mean, and we have a good idea that defense is going to suck, but that doesn't mean for the rest of the season that the Colts defense is going to be trash, okay? I mean, look at Tennessee, for God's sakes. Last 2 years, destroying Kansas City and destroying Tampa, and look at what happened for the rest of the year. That's why you need to, and I've learned this too based on that, you need to relax a little bit. It's only 1 week. Half of these teams and their performances they put up are not reminiscent of what they're going to do for the season. So there's that. But Patriots win. Next game, Saints at Giants. Last time these two teams played, it was a nightmare for defenses. 52-49 was the last score these two had in favor of the Saints. The Giants, I believe, are going to win this game by a score of, let's go 42-27. It's going to be high scoring again. The Giants are going to put up their points. But it's in New York. I think the Giants get off to a 2-0 start. Victor Cruz looks like Victor Cruz. I mean, he looked good, but you never know. It's the Giants, so time will tell. The Saints can put up points. There's no doubt about that. But I do believe that the Giants are going to win this game. Next up, we got, if NFL is reloading for some reason, Bengals at Steelers. Cincinnati pulling out the game against the Jets. They now travel to play Pittsburgh in what was once a hated rivalry. They now hate each other even more, especially after the playoff game. I think the Steelers win this game. I think they win it 20-17 over Cincinnati. I mean, the Bengals are a solid team, and they will be, but I don't trust them quite yet. They got to show me. This would go a long way. Steelers looked downright unstoppable on Monday Night Football against the Redskins. Went into Washington and just obliterated them. So I think the Steelers continue that, but I think the Bengals will keep it a lot closer than what Washington did. Speaking of Washington, our next game, we got the Cowboys at the Redskins. Dallas fans are going to get excited because I am actually picking the Cowboys in a little bit of an upset here. Yes, I have the Redskins dropping both of their straight 2 home games to start the year. Reason being, I think the Redskins didn't play inspiring football. Well, the Cowboys, although they lost, played inspiring football. Dak Prescott looks pretty good, and I honestly think that the Cowboys go in there, and I think they finally get a win without Romo. I think it happens. So there's that, and I think the Cowboys end up taking this game 23-16 over Washington. Next up, Buccaneers at Cardinals. Some people were flirting with picking Tampa Bay in this game, and I'm like, whoa, hold your horses a little bit. This is the Cardinals' second straight home game. A, B, this is the who did Tampa play last week? The Falcons. I think this is the Bucks' second straight road game. B, C, the Cardinals' defense is a lot better than the Falcons' defense. So pump the brakes a little bit. Arizona is still an elite football team. I think the Cardinals beat the Buccaneers, and I think they beat them thoroughly. 30-14. I think the Cardinals take the win. Jameis has looked good, but I think Arizona brings him back down to earth a little bit. Next up, we got Seahawks at Los Angeles, and based on how these two teams looked in Week 1, this might be the lowest scoring game of Week 1. Who knows? But I know the Rams have had their success against Seattle, but I gotta go with the Seahawks here. The Rams look too bad on Monday Night Football for me to even consider taking in this game. I think they'll keep it close just by virtue of it being a divisional game. So we'll say Seattle wins 16-10 over Los Angeles. Like I said, St. Louis, or Jesus, it's gonna happen. This is gonna happen quite a bit. Los Angeles, I know this is the home opener too, but I think playing Seattle in your home opener when Seattle is a very good football team, not the best. Colts at Broncos. Indianapolis just likes to get off the 0-2 starts, don't they? So I think that'll continue here. Poetic Kid, I know you were high on the Colts, buddy, and you have a right to still be high on Indianapolis, but I don't think that changes the fact that A, they're going to go 0-2, and B, if they need to get healthy quickly on defense because and when they're healthy they need to be competitive on defense because if that defense plays the way they did on Sunday, the Colts aren't going to win many games. Andrew Luck is going to be the only reason the Colts are in any ball games this year because he is such a stud at quarterback. But I think Indianapolis starts off 0-2 again. So I think the Broncos take it. They've had extra time to prepare, and I think Trevor Siemian can throw on the Colts defense, especially considering they're so injured. So I think Broncos end up taking this game by a score of 29-22 over Indianapolis. Falcons at Raiders. I think the Raiders go off on a 2-0 start. That black hole is going to be rocking because this is the first time the Raiders have been 1-0, and I haven't done my research but a long time, I want to say. I mean, the Raiders came back in the Superdome against the Saints and outdueled Drew Brees, for God's sakes. If that doesn't inspire confidence for a fan base, I don't know what will. So that's why I think the Raiders are going to win this game. I think they'll win at 30-20 over Atlanta. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback, but he lacks the it factor, and he used to have that back in 2010 through 2012, but he just doesn't have it anymore. We'll find out, though. Next up, we got Jaguars at Chargers. Why are people picking the Chargers in this game? Did you see how the Jaguars looked against the Packers? Did anyone watch that game? Because Jacksonville took Green Bay to the brink, while San Diego blew a lead against Kansas City, and now San Diego doesn't even have Keenan Allen for the rest of the year. Their top pass catcher is out for the rest of the year, and people are still picking the Chargers in this game. I know it's a cross-country trip, but the Jaguars, I mean, that team is going to be solid this year, and I've been saying it off season. I think the Jaguars win this game 27-17. Jacksonville's solid. They get off 1-1. Besides, who does Houston play even? Houston plays Houston plays Kansas City, and I have Kansas City winning too. So what's gonna happen? Every team in the AFC South start 0-2 except for Houston, and they'll be 1-1. One of these is going to go the other direction. Tennessee can beat Detroit. Houston can beat Kansas City. Indianapolis can even beat Denver. It can. Any of these things can happen. This is the NFL, but the Jaguars will win against the Chargers. I think they will. Next up, we got Packers at Vikings. Much due respect to Green Bay for the way their defense played against Tennessee. However, Tennessee's offense isn't the Packers' offense. Green Bay will put up points in this game, and the Vikings they can't rely on winning games by scoring touchdowns on defense in this game. This is a game where the Vikings need to put their best foot forward on offense, whether Shaun Hill or Sam Bradford starts, and they need to put up points against the Packers, and Adrian Peterson needs to run better than he did against Tennessee, because 31 yards on 19 attempts isn't going to cut it, especially when you're playing a team like the Packers, who are healthy now that they have Jordy Nelson back. Yeah, they kept it close against Jacksonville, but because I think Jacksonville's going to be very good, and I think that Packers-Jaguars game is going to be a game later in the year when people are talking about and say, you know what, the Jaguars are good now. That was a tough win for Green Bay, and they earned it. So I think Green Bay takes this game 24-16 over Minnesota, and that's that. Last up, we got Eagles at Bears. I think Philly gets off to a 2-0 start. Wentz looked good. He's got to avoid the little bit of a letdown now, but I think the Eagles only start 2-0 just by simple virtue of playing two of the worst teams in the league. I mean, you're playing the Bears and the Browns in back-to-back games. I mean, the Niners, with the way they played, can beat those two teams and start the season 2-0. I mean, really. So, I mean, hey, I think Eagles fans will take it, considering it's been a long off season. But I think Philadelphia takes that game by a score of 31-21 over Chicago. Those are my picks. I am 1-0 in fantasy. There are 12 teams in our fantasy league. 12. I don't know why I held up a 1. And I scored the 11th least amount of points. I don't know if I said that right. But I won because I played the team that scored the fewest amount of points. So, yay me, I'm 1-0. I don't know if you can read that properly. It's the one on the right. Yeah, I think it is. I'm 1-0. So, let's go. I've also been wheeling and dealing in my fantasy league. Lacking a little depth at tight end that I was able to pick up. So there's that. My opponent this week is Chalupa Batman. He is also 1-0, and that is Connor. So we'll see how I do against him. Uh, those are my picks, and that's my recap on fantasy football. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and peace out as always.